In the depths of Atlantis, in a secret chamber of the royal palace, the warrior queen, Saraphina, was watching Cain Blackwood with her golden eyes shining with impatience.
"You're no longer useful to me, Cain,"
he said with a cold voice.
"I need a pure-blooded human."
Cain, floating nervously in his special diving gear, swallowed hard.
"And what if you want the riches?" "You must bring him to me."
What I'm about to tell you will change everything you thought you knew about our planet. It all started 3 months ago, when Cain Blackwood, the most legendary diver in Greece, showed up at my door in Santorini. "Sammy, I need someone young, strong, and crazy enough to dive to 200 meters without thinking about the consequences." Cain was 55 years old, with a gray beard and eyes that had seen too much. He was famous for finding treasures that others considered myths. "What did you find this time, Cain?" He placed on my table photographs that left me breathless. Tiered towers of white stone shining with golden lights, completely submerged. Neoclassical palaces with domes reflecting thousands of points of light. A Gothic fortress with pinnacles rising like cathedral needles toward the surface, surrounded by arched bridges and illuminated canals that created golden reflections in the crystal-clear water. "Where did you take these photos?" "Hellenic Trench, 180 meters deep. Sammy, I found Atlantis." I laughed. It had to be a joke. "Cain, I'm a technical diving instructor, not a treasure hunter. I'll pay you 500,000 euros just for accompanying me for 2 weeks. 500,000? And if what we're going to find is what I think, we'll be the richest men in the world." That night, while studying the photos, I noticed something strange. In one of the images, barely visible between the columns, there was a human figure. But it was impossible. No one could be at that depth without industrial diving equipment. I called Cain. "In photo 7, there's someone else." "I know. That's why I need a witness, Sammy. What we're going to find down there, no one is going to believe us." We set sail at dawn from the port of Thera on the Poseidon, a technical diving boat that Cain had modified with equipment I'd never seen. "What is all this?" I asked, pointing to the tanks of an unknown gas mixture. "Experimental trimix. It allows me to stay conscious at 200 meters for an hour." "Cain, that's impossible. At that depth, nitrogen narcosis? It's not normal nitrogen." We arrived at the coordinates. The Aegean Sea stretched out infinitely blue in all directions. Cain launched the sonar. On the screen appeared something that defied my understanding. Perfect geometric structures covered the seabed in an area of 50 square kilometers. "Oh my God," I whispered. "Get ready, Sammy. In half an hour, we're going to make history." We put on the most advanced technical diving suits I'd ever seen. Copper helmets with built-in communication systems, electric propulsion fins, and those mysterious tanks of Cain's. "One rule," he told me while checking my equipment. "No matter what happens down there, stay calm. What we're going to see will change your perception of reality." "Cain, you're scaring me." "I should be." We jumped into the water. The surface quickly receded as we descended through the infinite blue. At 50 meters, the water turned dark green. At 100, almost black. And then we turned on the lights. What we saw took my breath away. Hundreds of thousands of warm, yellow, and golden lights shone from windows, and colossal statues of Atlantean guardians emerged from the rocks like eternal sentinels watching over the submerged domains. "Cain, this can't be real. Keep descending." At 180 meters, We touched bottom. We walked through streets paved with perfectly assembled stone blocks. Everything was covered by a thin layer of sediment, but the architecture was impeccable. How is it possible that it's so well preserved? Kane didn't respond. He was observing something in the distance. Sammy, look. I followed his gaze and saw something that chilled my blood. Lights. Lights that were moving between the buildings. And they weren't ours. The lights were approaching. Kane and I stayed still, but I noticed something strange in his behavior. He didn't seem surprised. Kane, what's happening? The lights took shape. They were underwater torches that burned without consuming, carried by figures that weren't human. And then I saw her. She was the most beautiful and intimidating woman I had ever seen. Tall, with pale blue skin that subtly glowed, hair flowing like sea algae, and eyes golden like pure gold. She wore armor of greenish bronze scales with red coral inlays. In her hand, a three-pronged trident. When she saw us, she stopped, her golden eyes fixed first on Kane, with familiarity.
Kane,
Her voice resonated clearly through the water.
you have fulfilled your part of the deal.
My blood froze. Deal? Kane floated forward. Saraphina, I have brought you what you asked for.
A pure-blooded human?
The best I could find. Sammy Corrales, diving instructor. Greek family line without mixtures for generations. I froze. What the hell were they talking about? Kane? My voice came out broken. What does this mean? Saraphina approached, evaluating me with those piercing golden eyes.
Interesting. I can feel the purity in his bloodline, but there's something more.
Kane looked nervous. What do you mean?
This human.
Saraphina swam around me like a predator.
He has latent Atlantean blood. He is a dormant hybrid.
Hybrid? The word came out of my mouth without control.
Kane.
Saraphina addressed him with a dangerous tone.
You didn't tell me that he had Atlantean heritage?
I didn't know, I swear that.
Silence!
His voice made the water tremble.
This changes everything.
I realized I had been deceived. Completely. Kane, my voice trembled with rage, you brought me here on purpose. As a sacrifice. Kane couldn't meet my eyes. Sammy, it's not what you think. Then what is it? I screamed, my voice distorted by the water. Saraphina intervened. Your friend Kane owed me favors. I offered him riches in exchange for bringing me a pure-blooded human. For what? To save my kingdom. I am Saraphina, warrior queen of Atlantis, she said, her voice echoing like a deep current. And my civilization is dying. Despite my fury toward Kane, the sheer majesty of the sunken city left me breathless. Towering spires glimmered in fleeting visions. She projected into my mind 14 interconnected cities, home to 2 million Atlanteans, now teetering on the edge of collapse. Why me? I demanded, my voice trembling through the water. Because only a human Atlantean hybrid like you can perform the ceremony of rebirth. Images flooded my mind. An ancient ritual where a chosen one reignited the sacred waters, sources of life that were running dry, threatening to wipe everything out. Kane drifted closer, guilt heavy in his voice. Sammy, I'm sorry I was broke. I needed the money. You sold me as a sacrifice? I roared. She swore she wouldn't hurt you. Saraphina pushed us apart with a sweep of her trident. Cain is irrelevant now. You are perfect, Sammy. But your dormant Atlantean blood complicates everything. How? I asked. Hybrids in the ceremony don't always survive. A dark vision consumed me. Figures from the past dissolving into the waters. Their very essence sacrificed. The cold pierced me to the bone. I came here to die. Her golden eyes shone with desperation, not malice. I can send you back. Cain will leave with gold. You with your normal life. And my people will perish. Or stay. Awaken your heritage, train for the ritual, save 2 million lives. And if I die, then you'll be a hero. The first in 1,000 years to even try. I glanced at Cain, ashamed in the distance. He leaves, no apologies. Cain nodded, defeated. Sammy. Shut up, I cut him off. You already chose for me. Turning back to her. My real chances of surviving? 30%. And saving Atlantis? If you live, 100%. Floating in the depths, surrounded by the impossible. I knew my answer. When do we start? Her smile was radiant and fierce. Now. Saraphina led us toward the heart of the city, to the Gothic fortress that ruled the underwater landscape. Cain, she said, without looking at him. You have 2 choices. Stay as a witness to what you've caused, or return to the surface with your reward. Cain swam beside me. Sammy, I'm going to stay. I need to make sure that... No. I cut him off. You've done enough. Go. Saraphina held out a leather sack to Cain. When he opened it, the golden light of Atlantean pearls and coins shimmered through the water. Your reward? Enough for a comfortable life on the surface. Cain took the sack, but his eyes stayed locked on me. Sammy, I'm sorry. If you're really sorry, I said, use that money for something good, not for more expeditions that ruin lives. I watched him swim toward the surface, carrying his gold and his guilt. He sold me for money. Humans aren't the only ones capable of betrayal. I've seen Atlanteans do far worse for power. We reached the palace. Up close, it was even more breathtaking. How long will the preparation take? 6 weeks to fully awaken your Atlantean blood, another 4 to learn the ritual. And after that, then you will face the ceremony of rebirth. Either you'll save my kingdom, or die trying. As we swam toward the grand entrance, a realization struck me. Saraphina. Yes? Why do I feel like I've been here before? She stopped and gave me a strange look. Because your soul remembers its true home. And in that moment, floating before the royal palace of Atlantis, I knew my old life was over, forever. The only question was, would I live long enough to have a new one? The following days were a surreal whirlwind. Saraphina settled me into a tower of the palace, with panoramic views of Atlantis, where the ancient oxygen field let me move freely without a helmet in the protected zones. Your diving suit ties you to the surface, she said, handing me Atlantean armor. Bronze-green scales that shimmered subtly, inlaid with red coral across the chest and shoulders. The shoulders bore curved fins to cut through currents, and a segmented skirt flowed like underwater wings, similar to the ones worn by her and her guards, but crafted for a hybrid warrior like me. Wear it. Its ancestral fibers will help your body sync with the ocean, amplifying your awakening. Stripping off the human gear, I felt the scales mold to me like a second skin, light, empowering, as if I were being reborn. First, I must fully awaken your Atlantean blood, she explained on the first day. Your body must remember its underwater heritage. The process was brutal. We began with deep current breathing exercises, meditations that bound my mind to the ocean, and synchronization. Sessions in special chambers. Feel every molecule of water. She guided me softly. Let it transform you. At first, nothing. But soon, subtle changes emerged. My lungs began filtering oxygen directly from the water as if dormant gills were awakening. It was intermittent at first, allowing me to remove the helmet only for short sessions, but with each passing day, it grew stronger. I could remain submerged indefinitely without drowning, feeling the sea like an extension of my own veins. Your hybridization is awakening, Saraphina L confirmed. Soon, you will breathe the ocean like a true Atlantean. The pain was intense, as if my human body were fighting against this evolution. I can feel the emotions of the fish, I confessed one afternoon, gasping after a meditation session. Their fear, their curiosity, but it hurts so much. Awakening always hurts, she replied softly. You are reclaiming what you were, before you were only human. Between sessions, I explored the rich Atlantean history. Libraries with floating texts preserved inside shimmering spheres. Stories of a millennia-long retreat after corrupt contacts with the surface world. Now we are dying, she admitted. The sacred waters are running dry. Without the ceremony, 6 months, and everything collapses. Each step forward tied me closer to this world, but the weight on my shoulders grew heavier. What if I fail? Then Atlantis dies with you. No pressure, I thought. But her rare, calm smile gave me hope. Sammy, at first I saw you only as a tool to save us. And now? Now, I respect what you are, and I hope you survive. Her golden eyes spoke more than her words. If I survive the ceremony, what then? A future we will invent together. Before the ceremony, you must prove yourself worthy, announced Poseidon the Ninth, as Saraphina L officially presented me to her father. The king of Atlantis was even more imposing in person. His stormy eyes studied me, as if he could see straight into my soul. 3 trials, he continued. Strength, courage, and wisdom. Only a true hybrid can complete them. And if I fail, then you were never who we thought you were. In the combat arena, with no helmet and no protective field, I breathed the water with ease, thanks to my emerging heritage. The pain of awakening was worth it. Now, I belong to this world, no longer an intruder. The first trial was about to begin. Thousands of Atlanteans gathered to witness the spectacle. You will face a lesser kraken, explained the weapons master as he equipped me. Use this. He handed me a trident that pulsed with its own energy. Any advice? Don't die. The kraken was terrifying. 8 massive tentacles, intelligent eyes, and a clear thirst for blood. When it saw me, it roared with a sound that made the water vibrate. The first attacks were desperate. The kraken was faster than it looked, and its tentacles struck from impossible angles. But then, I remembered Saraphina L's lessons about feeling the water. Instead of fighting the creature, I began to anticipate its movements, feeling the currents it created. When it attacked, I was no longer there. The turning point came when I managed to connect my mind to the kraken's emotions. It wasn't evil. It was only scared and hungry. Instead of killing it, I used my newfound bond to calm it. The Kraken stopped. Its eyes studied me with curiosity, and then it simply swam down to the bottom of the arena. The crowd erupted in thunderous applause. "First trial completed," declared Poseidon. "But the next two will be far more difficult." The second trial took me to the most terrifying place in Atlantis, the Abyss of Nightmares. "You must ascend 3,000 meters and retrieve a Pearl of Wisdom," explained Saraphina L. "But the Abyss is home to creatures that feed on fear." "What kind of creatures?" "Deep-sea sirens. They create illusions of your worst fears." As I descended into the abyss, my hybrid body adapted to the cold and pressure, drawing life from the water itself. Without it, I would have perished. Everything felt surreal. The water grew darker and colder with every meter. At 1,000 meters, the voices began. Beautiful songs, promising peace, power, eternal love. But I knew. They were traps. At 2,000 meters, the first sirens appeared. They were both beautiful and terrifying. Skin pale as death, hair drifting like smoke, and eyes that were endless voids. "Sammy," they whispered, "why fight for people you don't even know?" The illusions began. I saw Cain laughing with Saraphina, plotting my death from the start. I saw my family on the surface, forgetting me completely. I saw my own death at the ceremony, pointless and meaningless. But then, I remembered something Saraphina once told me. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's acting, despite fear. I focused on my purpose. 2 million lives depended on me. Saraphina depended on me. The illusions faded, and at the bottom of the abyss, I found the pearl. A sphere of pure light, pulsing like a heart. When I returned to the surface, Saraphina L was waiting for me with a look of relief. And something more. "Are you okay? Did the sirens show you your fears?" "Yes." "And what were they?" "That all of this was a lie. That you and Cain had planned my death from the start." "And what kept you going? The hope that it wasn't true?" Saraphina stepped closer and took my hands. "Sammy, I need to tell you something. At first, when Cain spoke to me about you, I only saw you as a tool, a means to save my people." My stomach tightened. "And now I can't imagine a future without you in it." The third trial awaited me in the Temple of Wisdom, an ethereal sanctuary where luminous currents danced like guardian spirits. My hybrid adaptation was almost complete. I breathed the water effortlessly, no helmet, no ancestral fields, feeling every pulse of the ocean in my evolved lungs. "Wisdom cannot be faked," Saraphina L warned as I stepped inside. "Answer from the heart or fail." The ocean Sibyl materialized before me, her translucent form like living water, her eyes as deep as endless abysses. Her voice echoed in my mind. First question: why do you risk your life for strangers? "Because every life has value, regardless of bonds," I answered. 2 million Atlanteans deserve to exist like any living being. Second: Cain betrayed you for gold? Do you forgive him? I hesitated, remembering his guilt. I forgive him for my own peace, not to excuse him. Forgetting would be foolish. Third: if you survive the ceremony, but Saraphina L dies, will it still be worth it? The impact was visceral. My feelings for her had grown from distrust to a deep bond. "No," I admitted us, "but I would still do it, because she would put her people first, and I would honor her." The Sibyl studied me in silence, fleeting visions of my answers coming to life around us. Atlanteans saved, betrayals forgiven, tragic sacrifices. Finally, she nodded. True wisdom, you have passed the trials, you are worthy of the ceremony of rebirth. When? In 3 days. Prepare your soul for what could be your end. The 3 days before the ceremony were a bittersweet whirlwind. Saraphina guided me through the wonders of Atlantis. Coral gardens with bioluminescent flowers dancing like living stars. Theaters where ancient operas resonated through the water. Libraries holding ancestral knowledge, floating in crystal spheres. Why are you showing me this? I asked, drifting through a gallery of sculptures that moved with the currents, my Atlantean armor adjusting perfectly to every turn. So, you'll understand why this world is worth saving. I knew that from the first day. Why? Because you are a part of it. She stopped, her golden eyes locking onto mine with intensity. Sammy, I must confess something. What? Before Cain brought you here, I investigated your life, your family, your work, past loves. I knew who you were. And what did you see? The exact man I could fall in love with. My pulse quickened. From an investigation? From the man who chose to stay and risk everything for strangers. From the man who forgave betrayal. From the man who embraces the beauty of the impossible. Saraphina, it may sound convenient. The queen and her hero, but I swear on the sacred waters, it's real. Mine is too, despite the deceptions. Despite everything. We kissed in that eternal gallery surrounded by millennia-old art. It was pure bliss and tragedy, knowing it might be goodbye. If I survive, I asked, we will explore a love between worlds. And if I don't, I will live honoring the greatest man I ever knew, savior of my kingdom. On the day of the ceremony, all of Atlantis gathered in the sanctuary of the sacred waters, a crystal chamber at the heart of the city, where the lifeblood of Atlantean civilization had flowed for millennia. But now, those waters were drying up. The ritual is simple in concept, yet complex in execution, explained the high priest. You must submerge your hybrid essence into the sacred waters and allow your life force to renew them. And what does that mean? Exactly. It means you will die temporarily and hope your Atlantean blood is strong enough to bring you back. Temporarily, in the best case scenario. Poseidon stepped closer. Son of two worlds, are you ready to make the ultimate sacrifice? I am ready. Saraphina walked with me to the edge of the sacred fountain. The remaining water shimmered with a faint blue light, pulsing weakly. Remember, she whispered, whatever happens down there, fight to come back. Fight for us. Us. For our future together. I plunged into the sacred waters. Instantly, it felt as if my soul was being torn from my body. Pain beyond description. My human memories clashed violently with Atlantean ones I never knew I had. My blood burned like molten fire. Yet amidst the torment, I felt something else. The suffering of 2 million Atlanteans whose lives depended on my success. The desperation of Saraphina, and the crushing weight of an entire civilization on the brink of extinction. And in that moment, I decided I would not fail. I channeled all my love for Saraphina, all my respect for her people, and every ounce of determination to be better than the man I was before I came here. The fountain erupted in a blaze of golden light. When I awoke, the sacred waters were flowing stronger than ever, and Saraphina, was weeping with relief against my chest. "You did it," she whispered. "You did it." But something inside me had changed. I could feel every Atlantean in the city, their joys, their fears, their gratitude. It was as if I had become a part of Atlantis itself. "How do you feel?" Poseidon asked. "Like I've finally found my home." 3 days after the ceremony, as we celebrated the renewal of the sacred waters, news arrived that changed everything. "Your Majesty," a scout burst into the palace. "Enemy fleet detected on the horizon." "What enemy?" Poseidon demanded. "Lemurians, sir. 200 warships approaching from the deep Pacific." Saraphina tensed beside me. "Lemurians?" "Our evolutionary cousins," she explained. 1,000 years ago, we split apart. They chose domination. We chose harmony. They've been building an empire in the Pacific. What do they want here? Most likely to destroy us before we grow too strong. Poseidon immediately called for a war council. With the sacred waters renewed, we are stronger than ever. But the Lemurians, they have superior numbers and beasts of war. What kind of creatures? War krakens, tamed leviathans, beasts from the deep abyss, trained for battle. What are our options? Fight, and most likely lose. Surrender, and definitely die. Or what? Saraphina turned to me. Or use our new hybrid ambassador for something we've never tried before. What? An alliance with the surface. You want me to go to the surface and convince humans to join an underwater war they can't even see? I asked, incredulous. It's our best chance, Saraphina replied. The Lemurians won't expect allies from above. And how exactly do I explain this to them? Poseidon handed me a necklace of gleaming seashells. Universal translator and projector. Show them the truth directly. 12 hours later, I emerged in the Mediterranean near the NATO fleet. My Atlantean armor adapted, instantly drying with a subtle shimmer as it met the air, while my hybrid nature let me breathe effortlessly in both worlds. Boarding the aircraft carrier was effortless. I swam impossible distances without fatigue. Marines surrounded me, rifles raised. "Admiral Morrison," I declared to the commander, "I am Sammy Corrales, ambassador of the Kingdom of Atlantis." Atlantis? What kind of joke is this? I activated the projector. Images flooded his mind. Sunken cities, Atlanteans and the Lemurian fleet lurking in the depths. Impossible. Real, sir. In 24 hours they attack. If they win, they'll turn their sights upward. I projected horrors into his mind. Leviathans tearing apart coastlines. Destructive technology spreading unchecked. What do you want from us? Naval support, missiles, torpedoes, to even the odds? A tense silence hung in the air. And what's in it for us? An oceanic ally controlling 70% of the planet. Technology centuries ahead of yours. Safe oceans. Time to decide? 18 hours. That's enough. 6 hours later, 18 NATO ships set sail for my coordinates. But when I returned to Atlantis, the scene had darkened. The Lemurians have brought the unthinkable, Saraphina warned. What? The Leviathan Emperor himself. This is no longer territorial, this is total extermination. The war began at dawn. The Lemurian fleet was a terrifying sight. Ships built from the skeletons of giant whales, armored in black iron, escorted by creatures straight out of the ocean's darkest nightmares. But nothing struck me harder than the Leviathan Emperor himself. 3 meters tall, muscles like living stone, riding a beast that could have swallowed entire blue whales whole. "First wave!" Poseidon roared from atop his mount, a colossal great white shark. "Atlantean cavalry, advance!" 1,000 warriors, mounted on war sharks, surged toward the enemy. It was beautiful and terrifying all at once. The Lemurians answered by unleashing their war krakens. The water turned crimson as the two forces collided. "Sammy!" Saraphina swam toward me. "The humans are in position on the surface. It's time to coordinate the attack." From where I hovered, I could see both the raging underwater battle and the human warships above. I was the link between two worlds that had never fought side by side. "Admiral Morrison!" I shouted through the communicator. "Target confirmed. Coordinates transmitted." The first missiles fell from the sky like deadly shooting stars. Explosions lit the depths, destroying several Lemurian ships, even underwater. But the Leviathan Emperor had a surprise. 12 war Leviathans surged from the abyss, creatures the size of buildings, heading straight for the human fleet. "No!" I cried. "They're going for the ships!" "We have to stop them," Saraphina answered. We hurled ourselves toward the Leviathans, but we were like mosquitoes attacking elephants. Then, I remembered my new connection to the sacred waters. I focused, feeling every molecule of water for miles around. With the energy of the ceremony still coursing through my veins, I attempted something no one had ever tried before. I turned the water around the Leviathans into solid prisons. One by one, the massive creatures found themselves trapped inside shimmering spheres of crystallized water. "Incredible!" Saraphina cried. "How?" The ceremony connected me to the entire ocean. I can control it in ways I never imagined. With their most powerful weapons neutralized, the Lemurians began to retreat. But the Leviathan Emperor was not finished. "Enough!" The Emperor's voice thundered across the battlefield like an underwater earthquake. "If you want total war, you shall have it." He raised a massive trident that pulsed with dark energy. The water around him turned black as ink. "He's going to destroy the entire region," murmured Saraphina, "including the human ships. Not if I can stop him." I swam straight toward him, channeling my new bond with the ocean to move faster than any sea creature could ever hope to follow. "Emperor!" I shouted. "I am an ambassador of both worlds! I demand an audience!" He halted, his trident frozen halfway to unleashing catastrophic destruction. "A hybrid dares speak to me? A hybrid who can offer something better than war." And what could you possibly offer that outweighs victory? A three-way alliance. Humans, Atlanteans, and Lemurians working together instead of destroying each other. And why should I even consider it? Because humans have developed technology that could benefit both civilizations. Because the oceans are vast enough for all of us. And because I am living proof that cooperation between our species is possible. The Emperor studied me for long, heavy minutes. An interesting proposal, but it would require guarantees. "What kind of guarantees?" I asked. "A marriage between our species, something that would make breaking the alliance personally costly." I glanced back at Saraphina, who floated just behind me. "Would you marry me to save 3 civilizations?" I asked softly. "I would marry you even if there were no civilizations to save," she answered. "Then we have a deal." 3 weeks later, I stood on Crystal Island, land that rose only under the full moon, awaiting the start of the first interspecies wedding. Representatives from 3 worlds had gathered. Atlantean nobles in ceremonial armor, Lemurian lords from the deep, and human diplomats arriving in specially modified submarines. Saraphina radiated beauty, her wedding gown crafted from angel fish scales and flowing pearls that shimmered like living currents. Nervous? She whispered. Terrified, I admitted. Marrying you is a dream, but one mistake could reignite the war. It won't fail. This is our destiny. And I love you. Emperor Leviathan officiated, merging our traditions. By the abyss where the currents are born. Poseidon continued. By Atlantean wisdom that forges harmony. Admiral Morrison concluded. By human tenacity that unites the impossible. I now declare you one. We exchanged rings forged of human gold, Atlantean coral, and Lemurian iron. As I kissed her, the ocean seemed to roar in celebration, sealing an eternal alliance. I write these lines from our palace on Crystal Island, watching Saraphina train the first interspecies diplomats beneath the filtered light of the ocean. These past months have been transformative. Trade routes now flourish between humans, Atlanteans, and Lemurians. The surface world cleans the seas with abyssal technology. Atlantean embassies rise in human capitals, uniting worlds once divided. Yet our personal happiness eclipses everything. My full adaptation? Breathing the ocean like a native? Clad in armor that now feels like part of me? Has made me a living bridge between species. What are you thinking about? Saraphina asked, swimming toward me in the submerged study. About how unpredictable life can be. A year ago, I was just an instructor, betrayed by Cain. Any regrets? Regrets? About becoming prince of a hidden kingdom, marrying you, and forging peace among 3 civilizations? Yes. Never. Though Cain never realized his betrayal would save not 1, but 3. Speaking of surprises, her mysterious smile lit up the water. What? You're going to be a father. I froze. A father? The healer confirmed it. Hybrids like us can conceive. Are you pregnant? 3 months. I kissed her, overflowing with joy. I love you, Queen Saraphina. And I love you, Prince Sami. That night, as the full moon lifted our island from the sea, we knew we had forged a united future. Our child would be its very first inhabitant, and Cain, unknowingly, had set it all into motion.